Joining us now is Syracuse Police Chief Joe Cecile. Chief Cecile, thanks for being with us tonight.
Yeah, lots to cover here. I'm going to start with the, we've called it the budget battle. And it really sounds like Common Council is not going to budge. They're going to keep all the cuts that they had put in place, and that includes to your department. So how much of a setback could that be? Because I think if maybe I have the numbers right, are we talking into at least the millions?
3.5 million.
Yeah.
So you want me to reach right into the hornet's nest, huh, Jeff?
Yeah.
Reach right back into the hornet's
it.
nest. Listen, I got to be speaking for myself. It was never really about the budget. Anyone who wants to look at our budget can take a look at it, including the counselors. We can justify everything we spend. It was more about the communication of it. We didn't learn until that evening that we were losing another $3.5 million. So we had to scramble to figure out what we were going to cut. But we have since spoken to the mayor. I've spoken to the mayor, spoken to several counselors. It seems like the process moving forward is, as we go through this next budget year, if we're lacking money for Armory Square, festivals, parades, new academies, downtown proactive work, we can go back to them and ask for some of those funds to be returned. And it sounds like they're going to do that. So again, more about the communication than the actual loss of the money. But it seems like we've got a path forward now.
All right, yeah, because that's our follow-up question. As Councilor Hogan said, that he's not going to suggest where you need to cut. That's up to you, where to cut, where to spend. So what do you think is going to go?
Well, again, you're right. He didn't say what to cut, but as you know, the items that were on there were major items, services that the taxpayers have come to expect and quite frankly deserve. So I don't know. We're going to work on another 2 budgets, one alternative budget in case there's things that we don't think we're going to get funded, and then another one if we're going to move forward with this pathway to fund all those things. I think we just continue to move forward. Again, we'll cut where we can. But I think all those things we named when we were at the podium, and I know I was a little prickly at that podium, it was about the communication, not the money. I think all those things are important, and the public wants them. So I think we move forward with this approach of going to them and showing them what we need money for when we're running out of money for Armory or downtown or parades, festivals, hiring cops. They've said to me that they will move some funds back into our budget.
Okay, we will see when that comes up. Next topic for you. The State Attorney General's office is investigating a shooting that happened on May 13th. One of your officers ended up shooting and killing a man that they confronted in a hallway on North Townsend Street who had a gun and was firing at them. So from what you have seen and gathered, I know they're doing their investigation. Your officer justified?
But not only justified, but heroic. He saved lives. All of the officers that responded that night saved lives. They got there and heard an active shooter inside this apartment building. And I want to say this again for the viewers out there. An active shooter inside an apartment building firing off rounds. They knew at that point seconds could be lives. So they formed a plan very quickly and entered that apartment as a team to engage that suspect and save lives. They did engage him. From the evidence we've seen, that I've seen, he engaged back, which by that I mean he raised his gun and actually fired. We fired once and eliminated the threat. And I believe those officers acted heroically, and they did, in fact, save lives.
This exchange of gunfire seems to be happening more often, not just with the Syracuse Police Department, but with other law enforcement agencies as well. Why do you think this is happening?
It does seem like that, Christy, but I don't know. I don't have the why. I just know that every one of these situations, in every one of them, we are called to the scene of someone with a gun who's going through some mental crisis or just had an argument with someone, a partner, or fight or disturbance, whatever. We are the ones called there, and we use every available tool we have to make sure no innocent civilians are killed or injured. And that we aren't either. But we're the ones being called to these scenes, and these officers, this is a demonstration of that on Townsend Street. To go in there, there's not a lot of jobs that require you to sacrifice your life for others. They went in there to do that. They knew they had an active shooter. They didn't hesitate. They went in and they saved lives by engaging this suspect. So I don't know the why. You are correct. They do seem to be happening more often, but we are extremely professional. These officers formed this plan, and I've said before, when people have asked me, what are they going to do when they have an active shooter here or, God forbid, at a school? They're going to react, and it's going to be decisive, it's going to be direct, and we're going to get the job done.
The DA, Bill Fitzpatrick, next topic for you. He was here in that seat yesterday, had a press conference this afternoon about this situation at Parkside Commons gangs. He said that he's kind of using a little bit of a different approach with you to go after gangs. Why might this new approach work better than previous ones?
Well, I think this new approach, again, it will round up more people. It takes a little longer for the investigation, a little longer for the prosecution, but at the end of the day, you could actually take down the entire hierarchy of one of these gangs or criminal enterprises and cripple them. So that's why it's more valuable. And I will say, you know, the best person to have there is going to be DA Fitzpatrick. He's done it before. He's been successful before. I don't know if folks out there realize how lucky we are to have him here, but if you look around the state at other, not everywhere, but at some counties have a district attorney who's looking for ways to take people out of jail and put them back in the community, violent people. This district attorney is always looking for ways to put violent offenders into jail, behind bars.
How much of a gang problem do we still have here in Syracuse?
We still have it. I don't know, you know, we still have our, I believe the last number I saw, 15, 17 gangs. Now, some of them are minor and don't do much. Other ones are the ones we all know about and still have criminal enterprises. They still have arguments and disputes that end up with gun violence and people dying in the street. And worse than that, their shots sometimes go elsewhere and kill innocent people that have nothing to do with gangs and are just trying to go about their daily lives.
You just came back from Washington, D.C., and it was a very moving tribute to fallen officers, including Officer Jensen, Lieutenant Michael Husak. That ceremony, how long will that stay with you? And tell us about the unity that you felt there.
The ceremony will stay with me forever, you know, and again, the entire situation is going to stay with me forever. Christy, I was the, you know, it doesn't, I'm going to remember forever that I was in charge when those two officers lost their lives. You know, I was the chief. And I'm never going to forget that. It's going to eat away at me for the rest of my life. But I'm also proud that the police department rebounded the way they did, that these young officers figured out how to hug each other and how to cry with each other, how to support each other. That ceremony down in Washington was the same thing. You know, we were honored to have the Jensen family with us at every event. They were a very strong family. And they got to witness, I think, for the first time. They've seen it on a small level with SPD and the county sheriff's department, but now they saw how large that law enforcement family is. And when they wrap their hands around you and you see that event in Washington, it is like nothing else to have thousands and thousands of officers all wrapping their arms around you because you lost an officer in the line of duty.
Time for one more for you, and I'm curious because there were several ceremonies there, and one of them, when we saw Andrew Donovan's report from it, took the breath away from us. They showed video from officer body camera from that night that Officer Jensen and Lieutenant Husak were killed. First time anybody, I think, outside of you guys and police and investigators seen it. How and why was that important that now we all got to see what they went through and the other officers that night? Some of them were named top cops at that ceremony. Right.
Yeah, 3 of them. The officers that survived, you know, Officer Canestraro, Rath, and Zolo all got that award, and not just because they survived, but the way they did. We had no idea, they had no idea what the suspect was planning to do if he got past them. Was he going to go on a rampage up and down the street, go to a school, go to a grocery store? They took him out. And we lost an officer, but they did what they needed to do. They saved lives that night as well. I think it's important for the community to see that. I think more footage will come out. It's the hardest video I've ever had to watch because it's not only the death of an officer, but all the things that those 3 officers did to try to save their fellow officers that night. And I think it is the first time you've seen that, and I think more footage will come out.
Right. That was the hardest to watch. Yeah. We agree with you there. And congratulations, too, on the accreditation for your police department. I know you all worked very hard for that.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right. Chief, thanks always for stopping by. We appreciate it. We'll see you soon here.
Anytime. Thanks.